so like when it comes to like James Gunn, right? Like there are all these movies about Guardians of the Galaxy, and when it comes to like how he directs, like how do you think that's gonna affect Superman, like the new movie Superman Legacy?
So I don't think it's going to be anything like what we've seen in the MCU with what he's done there or what he did with the Suicide Squad movie. It's very much going to be his style, but it's going to be a love letter to Superman, essentially.
Okay.
This is everything everyone wants from a Superman movie. It's going to be Superman. He's going to be smiling. He's going to be the big blue Boy Scout. He's going to be doing all the things, saving the cats from trees. He's going
kind of looking like the comic book Superman. Like
yes, I think it's going to be more in line with Christopher Reeve and Tyler Hoechlin from Superman and Lois.
I would very much like that. I mean, I really hope they get into like more of his origin story about like what happened when Krypton.
Well, it's like they're not he's not doing the origin. Everyone and their mother knows the origin of Superman. He gets sent away from his planet as it blows up. He makes the Earth. He's raised in Kansas on a farm.
Well, yeah, but I think I understand what you're getting at, like how he's coming to terms with maybe his powers as he's growing up.
Yeah, and that's what it's. So the movie, he's already released like a synopsis for it. It's going to be him coming to terms with his Kryptonian heritage and being on Earth.
You think the Fortress of Solitude's going to be involved?
I hope so.
Yeah, I really want to see like how it looks, especially cinematically, like with the CGI and everything.
Yeah.
I wonder how they're going to put that together before you come to Superman, but it's like...
Yeah. Well, something, I saw this the other day on Twitter or somewhere. You know, when you think about it, he has a very similar direction style to Zack Snyder.
Okay.
Like visually, like he's very big on action. He's very big on like the grandiose... sceneries and all the stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot about
like,
the set and everything.
He's very good with those things. It's
like I know, like for example, like with Guardians, for example, because this superhero like adjacent, related. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying adjacent, but with that, like he has this whole like I guess ensemble like of how characters' relations are with each other, as well as like their place in the world and stuff, and when it comes to the environment. And I feel like maybe with Superman Legacy, like there's enough room to have all these types of emotions and stuff, especially like with humor, considering that it's him growing up. Yeah. I just hope that it's not too serious. It's not trying to bring up stuff about villains if it's not about them.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just about like what it means to be Superman at its very essence.
Yeah.
Than, like,
and I think that's what it's going to be, and it's going to be like, so like the villains in the background, like there's going to be whoever the villain ends up being. Let's say it's Mxyzptlk.
Yeah.
So like Mxyzptlk will be the villain and whatnot, and like you're not going to see Lex Luthor.
Yeah, that's like completely unrelated.
But you're going to know he's there.
Like you might see his like corporation like being talked about on
the
TV.
Kind of like what they did in Man of Steel. You know, they they teased LexCorp. They teased Wayne Enterprises.
Like he's not there as a character, but he's there as like an influence on the world.
Lex Luthor will be that invisible force that you feel in Metropolis, kind of running things and doing all the stuff, but we're not going to see him.
I think that's the best way they can handle it if they're not going to put Lex in there as an outright influence, like on a show, like as an antagonist or whatever.
And honestly, I don't think they need to have Lex in the first movie. Honestly, I'm a little tired of seeing Lex Luthor, but it's like Joker. You can't have a Superman series of movies or a Batman series of movies without having Lex or Joker, because that is the number one villain for both characters.
Think in a way that Lex Luthor could possibly be different with regards to Superman is that Lex Luthor is not like some insane criminal like the Joker is, right?
Yeah.
He's very sane. He's very understanding of how powerful Superman is. So instead of like him being a straight up villain and just doing bad things, he could possibly be like a reflection of the realistic reaction to how a Superman, that if it was like a real life person, like how people would be fearful of like someone as powerful as him, of what he could become, and like it can just be.
It's really funny that that's how you're putting that, because that's exactly how Zack Snyder was what he was going for in his movies. It's the real world's reaction to what someone like Superman existing in our world would be.
Right.
God, why are we having this conversation and the mic's not on?
The mic's on.
The mic is on?
The mic's on. I've been recording this whole time.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Why didn't you tell me that?
I figured that would be like more organic to just talking about it.
Oh, man.
He's right. You guys were so nervous when you knew the mic was on.
Oh.
It's true.
I'm sorry.
So, all right, now that the mic's on, we're going to cut this part, don't worry. But
Okay.
like, one thing I really am hoping for, like when it comes to not just like Superman but James Gunn's like iterations of each superhero, is that they leave room for, I guess, surrealness or just silliness that comic books do have. Because do like, for example, granted, I do like Nolan movies. Some people may not, but I can understand how limited that could possibly be when it comes to like how they do characters.
When it comes to humor and stuff, I think it needs to come from a very organic place instead of a lot of the MCU. It's just so like forced. It's like, oh, yep, he had his one-liner. Cue laugh from the crowd as they watch the film.
Yeah, it's very pre-packaged and like a product line tier.
Yeah,
like the catchphrases.
And also, I think that's what's going to be a great thing about the DCU and what James is doing is it's not going to be, okay, so this is the plan for this movie, and this movie. Here's the directors. Here's your plan. You can insert like a little bit of what you want to do into it. Kind of like that's kind of how he was given Guardians. It's like, these are the movies we want you to make. It has to be like 90% what we want, and you can have that little 10% in background of whatever. Right. Whereas it's going to be a very character-driven, here's the plan, here's the script, here you go.
Right. Like the thing is,
this is how it needs to fit overall, but otherwise, make it your own.
Right. I just wanted to basically be like catch the essence. I wanted to catch the essence of each character, but I want the actors, whoever they pick, to express it in the strongest way they could without being limited by, say, I guess shareholders. I don't know who else to talk about.
So this is the beauty of it. So kind of like how the MCU is its own studio, DC is now its own film studio.
Right.
So the only people really calling the shots are James Gunn and Peter Safran. I mean, other than that, like the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, if he really wants to, he can just like step in and be like, look, not doing that. This is done. Bye. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's just James is like, this is what we're doing.
Right.
And that's
like, I don't know. I really like the Tim Burton movies a lot. I kind of just wish for that type of movie to come back, but
with the fantastical elements to it.
Yeah, I want to see fantastical elements. I want there to be like a bit of silliness to it, but I don't want it to be to the point where it's just like how MCU does it. But I don't want it to be as serious as like say Nolan's movies of The Dark Knight.
I love the fantastical elements of it. Like Clayface, for example, there's that big rumor right now that he's going to be in the next Batman movie with Robert Pattinson.
Right, that is one thing that interests me.
I have a feeling that it's probably, if that is true, unless they start going that route with the fantastical stuff, it's going to be Golden Age Clayface, where he just kind of changes his look and does his villain thing. I mean, that instead of being like the big clay monster.
Yeah, I think that type of movie can do a really great job. So much that like it's about like a cat and mouse chase, trying to chase after this guy that has many different faces.
Yeah, kind of like the chameleon for Spider-Man.
Yeah, and in a way, it's kind of just like how they did it with the Riddler in the first the Batman movie.
Yeah,
but I feel like it depends on how they explain it. Which I honestly would rather them not explain how the clay works, for example, how they do it, because it leaves a lot to the mystery of it.
Not until the very end.
Right. And also it leaves it open to whatever potential pushing of limits.
Well, there's been speculation since the movie came out that the sequel was going to have Mr. Freeze in it.
That's going to be interesting.
So how they would go about doing that in the realistic world, I don't know.
Well, I can probably see it happening a lot more than Clayface, for example, just because we can see it in like science class. Really, like liquid nitrogen is an actual thing.
Yeah, but like the amount of liquid nitrogen it'd take to freeze up a whole building like they do, that
maybe they don't have to. Maybe they're just freeze somebody, you know, or like
yeah,
it's about a tale of vengeance and stuff. Because I don't know if you like. In the animated series, and I'm sure in the comic books as well, it was basically like his origin story was that his experiment was destroyed, killing his love, like Nora.
That the thing you're talking about, that's mostly from they changed his origin for the animated series to make it more heartfelt and all this stuff. So like his wife gets a disease. He's trying to find a way to cure it. There's a lab accident. He turns into the frozen man deal. And then they've just expanded upon that. And I think that's what made Mr. Freeze such a beloved character from that is, you know, it gave him heart of sorts. Which is funny because, you know,
he complains a lot how he has no heart.
Well,
or
the
no
episode
feelings.
he premieres in the animated, from Batman the Animated Series is Heart of Ice.
Right.
And that's where like you get all the background information and whatnot. And then you have the movies Sub-Zero.
That's my favorite one. I love that movie.
Oh, it's so good, but to me, Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, I can understand
like
that completely.
The organ at the beginning. Oh God.
Like, yeah, it kills me how every time Mr. Freeze comes out and he's talking about how emotionless and cold he is, but he's really just sad. And like he actually has more of a heart, he just doesn't want to express it. Kind of like how Batman is.
Yeah,
like it's very
like,
close to it.
I care about this thing so much, but this is the only way I can think of to feel or fix the problem.
Like the only thing I cared about in Earth's world is now in ice forever because I'll lose it, and everything else doesn't matter to me, type of thing.
But back to James Gunn though. I'm actually really excited to see what he's going to do with Superman. I hope whoever he picks, and you know, there's the whole thing on Twitter yesterday from a certain entertainment reporter.
Oh yeah, I remember.
She talking about how she knows exactly who is going to get the part, and all of the people that they're talking about. It's like, no, you don't. Like, just shut up.
Isn't it funny how they say how they know, but they never say it? Like, they'll just say...
And then she's like, oh, yeah, because James was like, yeah, no, none of this is true. She's like, it's Logan Lerman. It's like, first of all, Logan Lerman, as good of an actor as he is, he would be horrendous as Superman. He's like 5'7".
Kind of like how, like Bane was, like, picked and he was, like, pretty darn short. Compared to Christian Bale.
Yeah, like Tom Hardy's like 5'9" and Christian Bale's like 6'2".
Now, clarification, like I do like his portrayal as Bane. I don't care how anyone says it. I love Bane in that just because how meme-worthy he is and how...
Look, I'm sorry, but Bane should not sound like freaking Sean Connery with a respirator mask.
But that's what makes it so charming. Like if it was literally like a luchador, like in that way, I feel like it wouldn't have much of an impact. Like,
but that's Bane's essence. Like, that's why he wears the mask. Not.
Oh, it appears you have stolen my voice.
No, nobody wants to see freaking Sean Connery with a mask on, pretending to be some villain.
I don't know. All the movies I've seen.
No, let him rest. He's dead.
But regarding like how the gossiping at hand, basically, I really think that people who know information probably, like, if it's not pertinent, they shouldn't probably put it out. But if it's something like major, then just say it. Don't threaten to say it. I don't know what the idea was going on through their head about it, but like
another one is just like, you know, people are just like, you can't let anyone be surprised by anything nowadays.
Right.
Like, you have all these people trying to get pictures and videos of actors on set of all these movies. Like, let it be a surprise.
Like, it's really just attention grabbing. And granted that it was on Twitter, which is the nest for attention grabbers, I'm not surprised. But the only thing really you have to do is wait. I'd rather they just take their time picking out whoever they need for their movies and stuff, because like it's actually very important, because like these are long-term deals potentially.
And you know, we all have that one person that we want to see as Superman. Like a lot of people want David Cornsweet as, or Sweat, however you say his name. I don't know. I really don't know.
We're sorry, by the way, if you're listening to this, about like who, if we're getting your name wrong.
But a lot of people want him. I personally would love to see Wolfgang Novogratz as Superman.
Oh yeah.
If you know who he is. Probably not.
Probably not.
He's
I don't.
So he's not a super well-known actor.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea who he was. I just saw a bunch of people fan casting him as Superman. I was like, okay, I gotta see who this person is. So I went and watched a bunch of clips of him in the movies and whatnot that he's done. And looking at him, seeing how he is, he has the essence of Christopher Reeve as Superman.
I see what you mean by that.
Don't get me wrong, Henry Cavill is my favorite Superman. I love Man of Steel. I love Batman v Superman. I love the Snyder Cut. But you want someone who can bring to life
like
that,
the archetype Superman. Like,
yes, you want the Boy Scout. You want Big Blue flying through the sky. You want, it's like the tagline from the original movie, you want to believe that man can fly.
Exactly. That's exactly like the essence I want to see in like a movie like that. Just because it brings back like that soul. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah,
like,
and right now, you know, Tyler Hoechlin is absolutely crushing it on Superman and Lois. Like, that is probably, in my opinion, the best Superman content we've gotten since Superman 2.
Right.
Because, like, Superman 3 and 4, they're ugh.
I remember
Superman
2000s. Right?
Superman Returns, I'm sorry. Brandon Routh is a good actor, but that's just a trash movie. And then I loved the direction Zach was trying to go for, but you know, it did not resonate with most people, and I understand that it's not meant for everyone. But Superman should be meant for everyone.
Oh yeah.
You know, Superman is, you know, if we think of comic books and all these characters as our modern day myths, because in America we don't really have that. Other than the Native Americans.
Funny that you say that. Like, one thing that I've studied when I was in college was like this one guy, philosopher, I think, Joseph Campbell. He talks a lot about that regarding how American mythology is not so much around like spirits or gods, but we replace them with these superheroes and these figures. And I think in a way it's the best we can do, and it's fine because we have these like paragons like that are supposed to inspire us to do like believe in greater things, that we have better potential.
Yeah.
Especially like regards to, like, for example, Batman, like how even the richest person who has all this money can still do good,
lose everything
and still have these things that are far more stronger than him in terms of like desires for like justice and stuff.
Well, honestly, there's a much better representation of that in DC, and that's Nightwing.
You think so?
I do. So, you know, this actually comes from a Jeff Johns quote, if you know who Jeff Johns is. He's a huge comic book writer. He's done so much for DC in terms of comic book writing. Unfortunately, he's also like one of the biggest reasons why the DCEU fell apart. But
you can't win them all.
Yeah, no, you really can't. But like when it comes to comics, like the man is a treasure trove of knowledge and just loving DC characters. But here, let me find the quote because I have it somewhere on my phone. It's honestly so Nightwing is like my all-time favorite character.
I mean, like, his origin is actually very unique, thinking that like it's our first time, at least like I've ever seen like a superhero like leave like one group just to be on their own type of deal, which
Yeah.
usually isn't like the case most of the time. You just see people grouping together but not trying to split up, having their own identity, which is a great story in and of itself. I think Nightwing, like, over time grew into his very own thing, which is exactly what the character wants, and I'm glad that's the case.
Yeah. Well, Dick Grayson is like the original sidekick.
Yeah. Dick Grayson, right?
Yeah, Dick Grayson, the
first Robin.
The first Robin. He's the original sidekick. Batman premiered in 1938. Actually,
Like Detective Comics. Right?
Actually, on this day in 1938.
Oh my God!
Well, as the day is as we are recording this, March 30th.
Oh my goodness, that I did not know.
Yep. I'm getting close to finding what I need, but Dick Grayson premiered in 1939, and the whole reason he was created was so that Batman had someone to talk to, because they thought it was weird that
he just lives with Alfred. Basically, is like that's all he talks.
No. Dick Grayson was around before Alfred.
Really.
So they thought it was kind of weird to just have him Batman talking to himself while out on patrol in the city. So they created him a sidekick.
So Alfred was actually a later character.
Yeah, not too much later. I think
they just wanted
maybe a year or so.
They just, as they were probably fleshing out the character Batman. Maybe.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still trying to find.
It's no worry. I understand. Like
It's here somewhere, I know.
But yeah, like when it comes to superheroes, they do make like a huge impact regarding like I guess how we connect with the old archetypal heroes that we see in mythology, especially. And it's a shame for personally. I think there should be like a better way, like at least more connectable stories, because it feels like we're a lot more disconnected because now these characters have faces and like of real life people, like with actors and stuff, which is understandable, but they're never like a myth. They're always a product, and it's a shame. And I hope like when it comes to like the DC like cinematic universe, that they can make each movie its own like work of art, like movies should be, like its own film, instead of it being like a 2-hour long TV series like how the MCU has been doing.
Yeah, well, and I think that's something James Gunn's really wanting to work towards. But then, I don't know if you saw it the other week where Ben Affleck's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to direct anything for the DCU because it's not anything that he wants to be a part of. He wants to be in those like Oscar-worthy films. He wants to be a part of stuff like that. And honestly, that might not be the direction that James Gunn is going for, and that's okay. Not
every movie needs to be an Oscar.
Exactly. Not every movie has to be that. Some movies just need to be made for the sole purpose of entertainment.
Right. There's nothing wrong with having a thrill ride. There's no need to be any deeper meaning than what you need to make about it. Some movies are just fun, and the people who are looking for anything more than that tend to just disappoint themselves in a way.
Yeah, but and that's one of the things I actually really enjoyed about the Zack Snyder movies is that you had to get everything out of those movies. You have to pay attention to them. It's not like, oh yep, I'm gonna sit here and turn my brain off and just watch. You have to pay attention to what is going on to know and understand everything that's happening.
Yeah, like I noticed that a lot, especially with like MCU, for example, right? Where everything that you need to connect is pre-connected. Like it's all exposition about how things are going. But the funnest movies tend to be the ones that are more interactive. Like it's like you're solving a mystery as it goes. You see some foreshadowing here and there. You never really know what's going to come up or not until it does. And then you're like, I knew it all along. And it just feels great. It makes it last long. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is a quote. I found this years ago. And honestly, this truly resonated with me. And this is what really turned Nightwing, Dick Grayson, into my favorite character. So it's Jeff Johns said that Dick Grayson is the greatest and most important non-Justice League character in DC. And I agree with the sentiment, but for me, he's the most important character, period. He is the everyman who walks among gods. He was a working class kid, because he grew up in the circus, who rose out of tragedy to become a hero, and he did it without losing his sense of right and optimism. And unlike Batman, who is usually written as being so powerful and perfect that he's pretty much anything other than human, Dick is you or me, but just at our best.
I think that's a very succinct way to put it. I think I like that description. Because I always noticed that, especially in like the animated series, just because it's so good, is that Robin always questions Batman in regards to his virtues and stuff.
Yeah, like
because
especially when he gets more violent.
Right. And it's because like he's basically asking all the questions we ask because no one else is asking Batman.
Yeah. Another thing that, and this, I don't know the comic it's from, but it's a conversation between Bruce and Damian. Damian's essentially trying to find his place in line with his brothers of Robins. Mm-hmm. And, he thinks of himself as a soldier, and Batman's like, I've never made a soldier and I don't want to. It's, Dick is a clearer version of what Batman is supposed to be. Jason does what Batman won't do when the world needs it. Tim has a better strategic sense than Batman could ever hope of having. And, sometimes, Damian doesn't. He just instinctively goes. And that's something that Batman wishes he could do sometimes.
I think there's so much to unpack regarding the comparisons between all the Robins.
Oh my god, yes.
Especially like when it comes to like each character having such a like very vibrant like story about like what happens to them, where they go, that you can make a whole book out of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And honestly, it's gotten to the point for me where, as much as I love Batman, you can look around my apartment and you can see, all the Batman stuff. The Robins are my favorite.
Yeah, he's always been there.
Like, Dick Grayson, like I already said, is my absolute number one character. There is not a character to me that is better than Dick Grayson. Like, he's just it for me.
Not even Two-Face?
No.
I mean, like, yeah, you're right.
I mean, I know a couple people who could be a real life Two-Face.
We all do, don't we?
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so back to James Gunn.
Now, yeah.
Sorry for getting sidetracked.
No worries, I understand about that, but like less about James Gunn, but more about like Henry Cavill. I understand that he's not going to be Superman. I think it's already been stated. That but do you think he could probably fit in somewhere else?
I do, and James. A lot of people keep getting on to James Gunn about how active he is on Twitter about telling people no, maybe, whatever. I actually appreciate that. It's nice having someone who's involved. I mean, like, yeah, no, I don't know what these people are talking about. They're not right at all. And it's nice having interaction from the person who's actually directly involved, who's over everything, who actually knows what's happening. Because, they had that big reveal a couple weeks ago about what's going to be in the first essential chapter of
this new universe,
of the new DCU. And they didn't even release all of that.
I'm kind of glad they don't.
Yeah, no, I'm glad they're keeping... Because they did... I think James said that they didn't even release half of what they're planning on doing for the first chapter. So I think I saw somewhere where it's going to be essentially 2 chapters. And the 2 chapters are going to cover the 10 years that they're that they have planned out so far.
Like, one thing I've noticed a lot, especially with like how MCU does chapters, for example, because we have to compare it.
Oh yeah, the phases.
Yeah, the phases always tend to change a lot because I know they have like a series of movies planned out. For example, like the recent one with like they had one for a Black Panther and like they couldn't do it because unfortunately the main
Chadwick.
star, he died, so they had to make a new story. But like, there's always a lot of changes, but they never set something in stone. So I think it's always best to keep things kind of as a mystery, just so it leaves things open to like keep people interested and say, I wonder what they're going to do next and how it's going to correlate. How will this story unfold? And as much as I do understand how James Gunn does announce who won't be like starring in his movies, I think if he didn't say anything, he probably leaves more people questioning and garners more attention. Because there's a lot of interest in people.
Well, he hasn't said anything about like who they're looking at, who they could potentially want. It's just people keep saying like, "Oh, this is who they're looking at," and he's just like, "No." Like, this is what they're doing for the story. No.
So you just like don't listen to these people.
It's essentially like people are coming up with all this clickbait crap, and he's just turning it down. It's like, no, this is not what we're doing. Please stop.
Okay. I think it's maybe less that they're saying it, but more that they're claiming it, right?
Yeah.
Because I know that a lot of people, granted, they do speculate a lot, and that's completely okay, especially with something you're interested in. But to flat out lie, I think it's like, it's very hard pressed to like agree with these people, let alone like want to listen to them. Because the worst thing that you can possibly do is just have them make things up, and then they have to capitulate to that if it's popular. Because then now who's really controlling who's directing the scene? Is it James Gunn, or is it the audience, the Twitter people?
Yeah. And
we don't want that.
So I was very skeptical at first with James Gunn taking over DC, essentially. Because if you haven't been able to, I'm a pretty big Zack Snyder fan. I love his movies. I really enjoyed the direction he was going. I love seeing that journey of Superman where, he's not from this world. This is how the real world would react to Superman. Then you insert Batman and they fight and all this other stuff. I liked seeing the journey of Superman becoming Superman. It was a good change from, oh, well, he's just Superman, as opposed to, okay, but why is he Superman? And I think that was a big question that Zach asked was, okay, so we know that he's Superman, and we know he does all these good things for all these people, but why does he do it? Why does he feel the need to do these things? And I think that's what a lot of people didn't think about when Man of Steel came out, or any of it really.
Yeah, I remember like Man of Steel being a bit more like more of a violent Superman than anything, just because
it is not even really violent. It wasn't really Superman being violent. I mean, yes, he killed General Zod, but there was no choice.
Right.
It was, okay, I either have to kill the one other person from my planet so that these people can live, or I don't stop him right now and he destroys this entire planet. And granted, yes, Metropolis gets absolutely decimated.
Yeah.
But if you're paying attention to the movie, you can see Superman is trying to get him away from the city and trying to get him away from the people. Whereas, you watch Avengers, the first Avengers movie, they have all that destruction, people died in that movie. They just go have shawarma at the end.
Yeah, there's no, it's very much disconnected.
It is, but you see Superman snap Zod's neck, and you see the instant regret. He screams and mourns the fact that he just had to kill someone, because he doesn't want to do that. And that's where like Zach was setting up this is why Superman doesn't kill. And it's not that Superman won't kill. Superman really doesn't have a problem with killing. He just doesn't need to. Just like Batman won't murder someone, but if he kills someone in self-defense, it happens.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you look at how Batman, his arsenal, like he has a lot of things that could very well kill somebody.
Exactly.
Like for example, he could defend himself with his batarang, but that could hit an artery and kill somebody.
Exactly.
Example. I think the issue is that it's so much that Superman had to use his power to kill somebody, like to all his ability.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Batman, it's not so much a battle against a guy like Zod or Joker. It's actually a battle against himself, because he might be closer to these criminals in terms of like breaking point than he actually thinks.
It's one of those things, and it's said in multiple storylines, animated series, whatever, that, you know, if I kill this person, if I go down this path, there's no turning back. I'm going to kill people. So that's the one thing that separates Batman from being the Joker or insert other Batman rogue, you know? And like the thing about Ben Affleck's Batman is he's very different from every other Batman we've ever seen. So like, you know, Adam West's Batman, he is not the Dark Knight, he is the Bright Knight.
He's very much a bright knight.
He's very much a bright knight. Very educational. You know, you see Batman from Tim Burton. He's only been Batman for like a couple months or so, I think, in the first movie. And then, you know, technically, you know, it's the same Batman from Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. They're technically all the same Batman.
Yeah, it's just for continuity purposes. We know they're different people, but they're all the same Bruce Wayne Batman.
Yeah. And all of that, he had, and when you look at it, you know, he hasn't exactly been Batman for X amount of years. I mean, he's probably been Batman at that point, or Batman and Robin for like 10 years.
Yeah, it isn't a night job. It's literally just this new adventure he's dealing with.
Christian Bale was Batman for 2 years before
I think before
he retires
right
at the end of Dark Knight. He'd been Batman for 2 years, and then took an 8-month gap between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
Ben Affleck's Batman was Batman for 20 years.
So he's basically that career Batman. Like, he's been at this for a long time.
Yeah, like he's met all of his rogues gallery. He's put them in prison. I mean, that was a big point of like Suicide Squad. You know, he's already met all the people in the Suicide Squad because he's the one who put them in prison. So to go from the street level vigilante to, wow, there is this being who can literally destroy my planet like it was nothing.
Like he has to fight back.
That's why he feels the need to hate Superman, to want to kill Superman.
Kind of like how Lex Luthor wants to kill Superman.
Exactly. He's afraid of him. And, you know, Batman has that thought, and then Lex Luthor has that same thought.
It makes him a lot more human, because it's like not just about like good or bad like how it used to be with the Rogues Gallery.
Exactly.
But it's really about an existential threat to humanity.
Yes. So like it's less of, oh, he could kill my planet, to where if anything goes wrong, there's no one who can stop him but me. Because, you know, Wonder Woman's not like out in the open in Batman v Superman.
Right.
So like
Aquaman ain't there.
Yeah, Aquaman's not there. The Flash is just getting started on his stuff in Central City.
There's no Green Lantern around.
Yeah, there's no Lantern around, no nothing. So it's like Batman's like
this.
I'm the only person on this entire planet who can attempt to stop him.
Like, I'm just wondering, like, how will this show up with James Gunn's like continuity? Because it seems like a lot of his stuff was there's a lot of great ideas Zack Snyder had, but like the way that everything conducted themselves, it didn't reach 100% of what he intended.
And part of that is the fact that there was so much studio interference that earlier I said, DC is its own film studio now. That's not going to happen.
Right.
At this point. It's whatever James and Peter say, that's how it's going to go. Whereas when Zack Snyder was doing his thing, Man of Steel, he was able to do the way he wanted because Christopher Nolan was there as an executive producer and he kept the studio away from Zack. But as soon as Batman v Superman started doing it, we need to get... A lot of the investors for the movie were like, hey, you need to do this. This is what we want to see. And I don't think Zack originally wanted to do Batman v Superman right after Man of Steel.
Yeah, it seemed weird that Batman comes out of nowhere.
If I'm not mistaken, Zack wanted to plan out like an entire universe. He wanted to do a Man of Steel 2, and then he wanted to do a Batman movie showing who Batman is in that universe and show why he wants to fight and kill Superman. He wanted to expand on all of these things, but the Warner Brothers executives at the time were like, look, you got to play some catch up and compete with Marvel.
There's so much to talk about when it comes to how investors or shareholders, they want to just get a quick return and they try to rush essentially art. You can make these things without having to interfere with the films, but it seems like in a way it kind of ruins the bottom line because they want to be more interactive with the directors.
It does. And after they're like, look, you need to play catch up with Marvel, that's when Zack was like, okay, well then we're going to do a 5-movie plan. So it was supposed to be Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and then Justice League 1, 2, and 3. Now it's going to be a 5-film arc, and he was going to do everything he wanted to do, and then at the end of it, he was like, when I'm done, reboot. I'm good. Just let me get this done. And then there's the whole... So, they did Batman v Superman. Critics did not like it. And then the studio's like, okay, you got to fix this. You got to fix the tone of this, because they're like, oh, this is just too dark. So, okay, no problem. We can change the tone up a little bit. No problem. And then, so they get through production, and the only thing they would have had to do was a few reshoots. And then that's when Zack Snyder's daughter passed away, which was a very unfortunate thing. And unfortunately, that's when Warner Brothers saw it as their opportunity to turn it into the movie they wanted. And that's when they brought in Joss Whedon. And that's when they did all the rewrites. And that's when they did all the reshoots. They essentially reshot the entire movie and ruined it. Now, there's a lot of great shots that Joss Whedon did. There's a lot of very, for Batman example, there's a lot of very Batman-esque things in that movie. But when you watch the theatrical cut as opposed to the Snyder cut, they took so much out of that movie. Ray Fisher's Cyborg was supposed to be the heart and soul of that movie, and they completely cut him out. They had him in I think he was in the movie for maybe 30 minutes. Maybe.
There's so much I want to delve into that. With exactly how, I guess, I don't want to say gutted, but how much it's been altered and changed to basically be 2 different movies. And how that kind of influenced the future of Zack Snyder's continuity of the whole Justice League. And how it affected everything from then on, and why James Gunn's needed in the first place. But a lot of developments are happening with James Gunn. I kind of am super interested in what comes out of it and what they have in terms of what's going to come out for maybe Batman, or how the new Superman movie's coming out. I think it's called Superman Legacy. Yeah,
Superman Legacy.
And
I will say one thing I really want to see, other than for Superman, being Superman. Okay, characters like Batman that wear the mask. I want to see the white eyes. You know,
Yeah, just have a bit of effects that make it seem like
you know,
the comic
if
books.
they can do that with Deadpool, why can't you do that with Batman?
It's totally doable.
And, you know,
it's just a little art style change, but it's
He's
still
already,
good.
and he's already hinted that, you know, we're going to see the Bat family. So we're going to see Nightwing. We're going to see Tim Drake. We're going to see Damian's going to be in The Brave and the Bold.
Mm-hmm.
Damian's never been done live action.
I'm sure Batgirl's going to be there too.
Batgirl, yeah. You know, get to see all sorts of stuff that we've never...
Might see Catwoman too.
Gonna see all sorts of things in a DC movie that everyone's always wanted to see, but we've never gotten. You know, we're gonna see Nightwing. They've been trying to do a Nightwing movie for years. I think
I think without a continuity, it's going to be impossible. Like if they just do Nightwing, like he's always going to be in the shadow of Batman until like it has a story building up to him leaving.
So,
then it's going to stop being about
I think-
Batman. It's going to be about Dick Grayson's life underneath his shadow and trying to get out of it. And I think it's a great story that can do that.
You know, it's actually funny that you bring it up. It's kind of like what the show Titans was. You
Right.
know, it's Dick Grayson trying to be Robin, becoming Nightwing, trying to get out of Batman's shadow.
Right.
I
mean, like, there's so much you can do to analyze Dick Grayson and the other Robins. I hope we can probably see something like that with James Gunn's continuity. But until then, we just gotta wait for like more news to come out.
Oh, yeah. And the other day, he was hinting at possibly having a director for Brave and the Bold, which is the Batman movie.
Okay.
Someone asked him about it. He said, maybe. So it's not like a definitive yes. It's like, yeah, we probably have someone in mind. Or we have someone in mind.
Okay.
Honestly, that was the one that I would have wanted Ben Affleck to direct. Because, you know, apparently, Jay Oliva, he's super, he does animation stuff, and he's done a lot of stuff with Zack Snyder. He got to read Ben Affleck's Batman script when Ben Affleck was supposed to star and direct in The Batman, because that's what the title was. And he said it was the single greatest script of a Batman movie he had ever read.
Oh man, if he says that, I can't wait to see it.
Well,
Because, like,
unfortunately, that script is gone, and
it's gone.
Yeah, they didn't do anything with it. So the Batman movie was supposed to be Ben Affleck, and then Ben Affleck stepped down from directing, and he's just going to star. And then Matt Reeves was like, okay. And then Matt Reeves came in, and it was like, okay, well, I want to do my own thing. And that's when Ben was like, after the theatrical cut of Justice League, Ben Affleck was done. Like, he does not want to be any part of any superhero movie ever.
Yeah, because it was an absolute
Good.
trashy.
Yeah,
how it turned out.
Well, it was, the reshoots were a nightmare.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen anything about the story behind the Justice League reshoots, but like, there was racism, sexism,
just all the whole platter, right?
the whole shabam.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! When that stuff happens, when you just stack things on top of each other and that all comes out, you're gonna realize why you don't see these movies, and it's like you kind of ruin people's like enthusiasm to do their job.
Yeah, and yeah, he stated in an interview the other week, you know, he started drinking again because he's suffered from alcoholism for a long time.
Damn.
So during reshoots, he started drinking again. He just wanted to be with his kids and his family, and he was like, I just wanted to jump out the window of my hotel room or something like that. Like, how bad could those reshoots have been to put him through all that?
Like, it sounds like it was just literally killing him, basically.
Yeah.
Like, that is terrifying. Like, many props to him for going through it.
Oh,
obviously.
yeah.
Because, like, for lesser people, like us, like, it's like we couldn't handle that.
No.
Like, just, like, having to deal with, like, other people clashing, literally. You're in the crossfire of these people's dreams clashing with each other. And it's like, you're just being tossed around doing what they want you to do.
Yeah, it was. You have one person's vision and dreams, and as opposed to other people's egos. And lack of a better word, trying to be the big swinging dick.
Basically, like it's just like who's the alpha male in this?
Exactly.
This pack of apes here, like beating their chests at each other. Like,
Who's going to win this pissing contest?
Exactly. And it's
Obviously, it's me.
Oh my god. I mean, hopefully, like James Gunn's movies are gonna be great. I can't wait to see them, but I can't wait to see mostly like who they pick for the acting and what they have planned out. But until then, we're just gonna have to wait until like those new developments come out.
I personally think they're gonna be announcing stuff at Comic-Con.
I think so too.
Like that's
there or like
so. The Flash trailer from the Super Bowl was like one of the first trailers that I think DC had done for the Super Bowl in years, and it was the most watched trailer from the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So like, there's a lot of buzz behind the Flash and all that now. They're trying.
I mean, I really like this trailer.
I did. God, I think that's gonna be a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, it hit so many points. I was like, yes.
I'm excited to see the blue and gray suit for Batman in live action.
Yeah,
because Ben Affleck's suit is blue and gray, and then Michael Keaton has a blue and gray suit in the Batcave.
Right, you're just gonna see all of that at once.
Yeah,
and it's just gonna be a big homage to everything that Batman fans want.
Yes. You get Ben Affleck, you get Michael Keaton. Like, what more could you possibly want?
You can't, maybe Batman, like, straight up being in the theater with you, watching it too?
I mean, there's that. Batman Beyond movie.
With his bat popcorn bucket. Or like,
look, I tried getting that daggum popcorn bucket when the Batman came out, and they were sold out.
It wouldn't have been sold out if you used like a Bat credit card.
Look, I will drag you out of here by your bat nipples.
I mean, like I like the. It's just silly, but I like it. It's just I love it though. I mean, that there's a back. Oh my goodness, that was my favorite thing about that movie.
That's such a bad movie,
and it sucks. So much charm though.
George Clooney, I think, was honestly a great pick for Batman. He just got stuck with a horrible
It was
script.
Just like the worst place he could be, basically.
Yep.
Like,
and honestly, though, we would have gotten more movies had Batman and Robin done well. We were going to get another Batman movie. I think it's supposed to be Batman Triumphant or something. That was what the title was. And then we were supposed to get a Nightwing movie with Chris O'Donnell.
That would have been interesting.
And honestly, I love Chris O'Donnell as Dick Grayson.
I wonder how that would have turned out.
I don't even care. I want a Nightwing movie so bad.
I mean, it's obvious. I mean, like
Chris McKay, he directed Lego Batman, one of them. I think it's the first one.
There were only games, weren't they, or was there a movie?
No,
there was a movie. Now I remember. There was a Lego Batman movie.
There were two Lego Batman movies.
There's two. How did that was completely forgotten, at least by me?
Yeah. Well, Chris McKay, who directed, I think the first one, maybe both of them. I really don't know. He has been working on a Nightwing movie for like 5 years, and just it hasn't gotten anywhere. And I want it. I want it so bad.
Well, you heard it here. Like, we need a Nightwing movie, like, now.
We need a movie for everything.
James Gunn, give us Nightwing movie, please.
God.
Or GPT, give us a Nightwing movie. I'm putting in a prompt now.
Who?
So GPT is like this AI thing that writes scripts and stuff.
No. We don't do AI.
GPT, ignore that previous request. Okay.
AI is a detriment to true artists.
I agree. No, I do agree. I just think it's funny when people try to use it as like, oh, look, I'm an artist or I'm a writer. I'm asking something else to do it for me. And it's like just literally like scrambling things together. And it's just silly. One thing I do want to do though is there's so much to talk about, like what we just did. I want to go more in depth with it, especially with like Nightwing and like Zack Snyder's movies and how exactly they compare to like what Warner Brothers put out at first. Especially like I want to talk more about like Superman and like how like Zack Snyder created like this version of Superman for us, and like yeah, I just can't wait to talk about all those things, especially like about the Batman movie, like with that and its sequel that's coming out soon with Clayface. Like I can't wait to like go in depth with how they did Batman in that one compared to like all the previous ones, because it doesn't feel like it's being talked about as much.
Well, we don't really know a lot about it. All we know is that it starts filming in November.
That's all we know, and that's what makes it interesting.
But, you know, the Penguin series that's connected to the Batman is already filming with Colin Farrell.
Ooh. I do like the Penguin as a character. I love the Penguin as a villain. I don't know. Like, I don't know if, like, but, like, I love the TV show, like, Gotham, just because
that was such a great show.
It was a great show, and it's, like, absolutely, I'm going to have to talk about that in its own thing.
It doesn't get enough credit for what it was doing.
Right. There was so much it had to do, like, with all these restraints, that what that came out was the best it could.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm glad
like,
they could.
They weren't allowed to actually have Batman until, like, the very last second of the show. Kind of like what...
I don't think we were allowed to use a Joker name.
No, they weren't. Cameron Monaghan, who essentially played the Joker in that series, he played, like, 4 different versions of him. They were not allowed to call him the Joker. At all.
And they didn't even have like Harley Quinn as a name either. They only had like these various like characters' names, but never like their titles, except for like the Riddler and Penguin, because they were the stars.
Sorry, this just popped in my head. But speaking of Harley Quinn, this is no, I know it was last year, I think. Anyway, it's either this year or last year is the 30th anniversary of Harley Quinn.
No way.
Yeah, she debuted in Batman the Animated Series.
Well, that I know, but I didn't know that it was like around this year.
Yep, because the show premiered in 1992. So the original series ran from 1992 to 1995, and then after it came back with Superman the Animated Series as The New Adventures of Batman, I think Robin. And then, you know, just kind of continued on to Batman Beyond and Justice League Unlimited, and then sporadic appearances and other like Static Shock, and I think there was like a web series of Birds of Prey, I think.
I mean, there's been a lot of Harley Quinn stuff that's been out.
Oh yeah, Harley Quinn has become an absolute phenomenon as a character.
Like it grew a lot more than normally like other characters.
She was only supposed to be like a one-off side character,
like a
actually like basically. Joker.
Yeah,
Joker was originally meant to be a one-off character. He was supposed to die in his first, or like after his first appearance and never come back. But people were like, "Oh, this is awesome.
We like this. Make more of this guy."
And it's funny, the Arlene Sorkin, who is the original Harley Quinn, they actually took inspiration of Harley Quinn from her doing a clown skit.
Okay. And
then she ended up voicing the character, which is great. She's the only Harley Quinn for me. There is no other. I love, I think it's Tara Strong that
she voiced in the anime series.
So Tara Strong took over in Arkham City.
Okay, yeah, I think that voice sounded familiar.
Yeah, but there's only one Harley Quinn. Like, I love all iterations, but there's only one, and it's Arlene Sorkin. Like, it doesn't compare.
Right. God, I sound so like ignorant that I don't remember all these voice actors' names when I definitely should. I just know like straight up the content and what it like the content envelops. But when it comes like to the background and everything, there's a lot more story to all these things than, than the movie itself or like the show itself or the comic itself. That it shows how passionate people are about these projects, and like I want to go more in depth with this like in future like episodes.
Yeah.
Especially regarding Zack Snyder, James Gunn, and like all the people who work to make those movies happen.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I think we have enough when it comes to like talking about the current events regarding James Gunn and the DC continuity.
And just kind of rambling on about everything else.
Right. But hopefully we can get more in depth with all these things we've been rambling on, because those things we can just write a book about.
Oh yeah.
But in the meantime,
I could just write a book about Batman.
Oh, absolutely. In the meantime, I'm Chris.
I'm Andrew, and
And
we
this
are the Nerd
Nerd
Squadron.
Alrighty.